In May 1924, a man named Thomas Midgley Jr. stood before a room full of reporters. He held a beaker of clear liquid, poured it over his hands, then lifted it to his face and inhaled the fumes for a full minute. "I could do this all day without harm," he declared. The liquid was tetraethyl, lead, the key ingredient in leaded gasoline. What Midgley did untell the crowd was that he'd just spent months recovering from severe lead poisoning. He also couldn't have known that this one invention would eventually contaminate every single human being on Earth, or that his next invention would tear a massive hole in the planet's ozone layer. Thomas Midgley Jr. is, without a doubt, the single person who has had the most catastrophic impact on our atmosphere in all of history. Born in 1889, Midgley wasn't a genius in school. He was an average mechanical engineering student who bounced between jobs after graduating. His big break came when he joined Delco, a company run by the famous inventor Charles Kettering. Kettering gave Midgley a huge challenge: solve the problem of engine knock. You know that rattling sound old car engines make? That's knock. It reduces power and can wreck the engine. For years, chemists searched for a fix. Midgley tried hundreds of different compounds. He noticed that red-colored dyes seemed to reduce knocking, so he developed a wild theory that the color of the fuel was the key. His theory was completely wrong, but it led him down a path of trial and error. And then, on December 9, 1921, he stumbled upon it. Tetraethyl lead. He added a tiny amount to gasoline, and the engine knock completely vanished. It was a miracle solution. Midgley knew lead was a poison everyone knew, but he convinced himself and his bosses at General Motors that the risks were manageable. They formed the Ethyl Corporation, carefully avoiding the word lead in the name, and started selling leaded gasoline across America. The disaster began almost immediately. Workers at the factories producing the additives started getting sick. They had tremors, hallucinations, and violent psychosis. At one New Jersey refinery, the production unit was nicknamed the Looney Gas Building. In October 1924, 5 workers died in just a few days, screaming about insects crawling on their skin. The public was horrified. Cities started banning leaded gasoline. It looked like the product was finished. That's when Midgley performed his public stunt, washing his hands in the poison to calm everyone down. Industry-funded studies claimed there was no risk to the public. They argued that alternatives, like ethanol, weren't patentable and therefore not profitable. Under immense corporate pressure, the government lifted the bans. For the next 50 years, leaded gasoline dominated the world market. Every car spewed microscopic lead particles into the air. It settled on our soil, our food, and our playgrounds. Scientists later discovered that lead levels in the atmosphere increased by hundreds of times. Every person born between 1930 and 1980 has elevated lead in their bones from this era. Even worse, studies estimate that leaded gasoline lowered the average IQ of millions of people by several points. But Midgley wasn't done. In 1928, he tackled his next project: finding a safe refrigerant. Early refrigerators used toxic and flammable gases like ammonia and sulfur dioxide, which sometimes leaked with deadly results. Midgley, systematic as ever, looked at the periodic table and focused on it. In just 3 days, his team created a new compound, Freon. It was non-toxic, non-flammable, and incredibly stable. To prove it, he famously inhaled a lungful of Freon at a conference and used it to blow out a candle. It was another miracle. Freon and other similar compounds called CF quickly became the standard for refrigerators, air conditioners, and aerosol spray cans. The problem was its stability. Because CFCs didn't break down, they drifted all the way up into the stratosphere. their high-energy UV radiation from the sun finally broke them apart, releasing chlorine atoms. A single chlorine atom can act like a tiny Pac-Man, destroying thousands and thousands of ozone molecules. This ozone layer is what protects all life on Earth from harmful UV rays. In the 1980s, scientists confirmed the horrifying truth. CFCs had created a massive hole in the ozone layer over Antarctica, an area larger than North America. Thankfully, the world acted quickly. The Montreal Protocol of 1987 phased out CFCs globally, and the ozone layer is now slowly healing. It was a close call for humanity. Thomas Mitchell Jr. never saw the full consequences of his work. In 1940, he contracted polio and became severely disabled. He designed a complex system of ropes and pulleys to help him get out of bed. In a tragic twist of fate, he became entangled in his own invention and was strangled to death in 1944. He died covered in awards and honors, believing he had made the world a better place. One environmental historian wrote that had more impact on the atmosphere than any other single organism in Earth's history. His story isn't just about a man who made two catastrophic mistakes. It's a chilling reminder of how easily innovation, driven by profit, can ignore warning signs and lead to unintended consequences on a global scale. It teaches us that we need humility and foresight, not just clever solutions. If you want to see how modern technology might be repeating these same mistakes, watch this next video and subscribe for more hidden histories that changed everything.